Hi, I'm Jessica Stagner, travel consultant and author of From Paper to Plane, a step-by-step guide to efficiently plan your vacations abroad. What about laundry when you're traveling? Have you given much thought to that? As if you've seen any of my previous packing tips, I always mention that you should only pack about a week's worth of clothing, no matter how long your trip, which means you need to do laundry. Now, I cover this topic about laundry in my book, and it is in the Accommodations chapter. And the reason why it's in the chapter about booking accommodations is that I think it's such an important thing that you need to consider before you even book your accommodations. So look at your itinerary before you've booked any hotels and put a little star or a note to yourself every 5 days or so. That's what I like to do and not be down to the last day. Every 5 days or so, this is a day I need to plan for laundry. Now, once you start booking your accommodations, you can have that in your mind of something that you are going to need. So there are kind of three main options once you go looking for your accommodations that you can consider about solving this situation with laundry. The first option is to stay somewhere with laundry services. I'm going to dig more into that. The second option is to book an apartment that has a washer and dryer. And the third option is to know where you can find a laundromat or laundry service. So let's talk about each of those options and the pros and cons of each. So option number one, stay somewhere with laundry services. Now, if you're staying in a traditional hotel on that day, you're most likely going to have a laundry service available. And you'll find the little bags with the sheets to fill out. But keep in mind that these can be very expensive. And the reason why they end up being so expensive is that they generally charge per article of clothing. So you might end up paying $5 just to wash one pair of socks. So you can imagine your entire load of laundry, how expensive that could be. So I personally don't like using a traditional hotel on the days that I need to do laundry. If you're staying somewhere like a boutique hotel, a bed and breakfast, or an agriturismo, one of those places that's more of a personal touch, sometimes you will have a laundry service available there. That's actually my favorite option because I can just hand over my whole load of laundry and have it back washed and folded in a day with maybe $5 total for the entire load. The problem is that you don't always know ahead of time if it's going to be a service that's available because it's not always something that they list on their website. So if it's something that you're concerned about, you could call or email them ahead of time, or you could just ask during check-in if you're willing to risk it. Okay, so that second option that I mentioned was to book an apartment that has a washer and dryer. Now, if you're using a website like Airbnb or something like this, then you can find that information right on there. Keep in mind, however, there's kind of two main things you want to keep in mind. One thing you want to keep in mind is that there might not always be laundry detergent available. I stayed in a couple of places that say, oh, we don't provide the laundry detergent. Or maybe they include one pod. And if you need any more than that, then you're on your own. So I've had to go out and buy an entire big thing of laundry detergent just to wash one or two loads. That's not ideal. So what I've come to do now is if I don't ask ahead of time, if I'm staying at a lot of places and I don't want to ask everybody, I'll just carry with me a couple of laundry detergent pods from home, just put them in a little sealed bag and then bring them with me. And then I have those available. But you could also just pick them up at a store if they're not going to be there. The second thing that you want to keep in mind if you're staying at a place like this is that you know how to use the machine. So I've talked about this a few times and I have a picture in my book that I don't know if you'll be able to see very well, but a lot of times these washer and dryers, and first of all, a lot of times it's just a combo, like a washer dryer combo, one machine will wash and then dry immediately after. It's a bunch of symbols on it instead of words, and they're these hieroglyphics like, oh, here's a swirly here and a cloud here, and I don't know what these things are. So when you're checking into somewhere like this, ask them to show you how to use the machine because I've had the worst experiences with that. Okay, so having your own washer and dryer is a great option. Just make sure you know how to use it. and that you have detergent. And then option 3 is to know where a local laundromat or laundry service is. And if you do go with this option, just make sure that you also know the hours and that you know where it is, and that you're not going to a place that's just like a dry clean only place. That can be kind of confusing sometimes. So if you want to look for a self-serve laundromat, then that would be one option. The laundry services, though, where you hand them a whole load and they'll wash it and give it back to you folded, generally takes about 24 hours. And they're not necessarily open every single day, and they might have different hours. They might close at like 3 p.m. or something, so that's always good to check. If you're having a hard time finding that information on Google, I generally just look on like Google Maps or something to find it. If you're having trouble finding that information, you can always email the hotel or apartment owner or whatever that you're staying at and ask them their advice about getting your laundry done. So I'm curious about your experiences with laundry while you were traveling. If you have run out of clean clothes and been completely stranded, or what has happened, I'd love to hear your comments below. And then I'll tell you one of my stories. So I have many stories to do with laundry mishaps, but I think my favorite one, now thinking back on it, was during one of our first larger trips. And we were staying in an apartment in Rome, and we had a washer and dryer. And that's what was extra frustrating about this, is that we had the facility available, but it was broken. So the washer would turn on, and as soon as you would turn it on, it locks and you can't stop it. So it would turn on and it would go for like multiple hours, but it would fill up with water and then just sit there and not do anything else. It would just kind of sit and go, and that's it. And then we'd open it up when it was done, it'd smell like mildew. So what it was doing was it was pumping mildewy water into the washer and then just sitting there, and then the clothes would come out sopping wet. So after a couple days of trying to figure out this machine and realizing that it was not working, we decided to go try to find a laundromat. So we put all of our clothes, which were wet, into a garbage bag, and we were like traipsing around town. I had marked a couple of places on my phone on our maps of where these laundromats were, but a lot of them were closed and just dry cleaning only type places. They weren't like self-serve laundromats or anything like that. We finally, this was kind of all day, and my husband, this was one of his like terrible moments. He was, I think, wearing only his swim shorts, because that was the only clothes he had left, a dirty shirt, and he didn't have any clean underwear, and he was wearing like flip-flops, and we're like traipsing around with this heavy bag of wet, mildewy clothes. We did end up finding a self-serve laundromat that was kind of far away. We had to take a taxi to, but it wasn't the most fun experience. There aren't a whole lot of laundry options in Rome, by the way. So that's my story. I would love to hear your story in the comments below. And just a quick reminder, you can find my book From Paper to Plane on Amazon, Kindle, or paperback. And you can find more information about me and get tons of other great information and resources at my website, wegetoutoftown.com. All right, comment below, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.